Retirement. That's what we're all aiming at, right? But exactly what does that mean? It conjures up visions of endless days of golf, drinks with little umbrellas in them on a tropical beach, feet up, reading a book. Is that what it's all about? I don't think so. Life would get pretty dull after a while without anything meaningful to do, don't you think? I'm Jacquie and I'm on a mission to discover exactly what life is like beyond retirement. Join me while I chat with people who've already done it, who've retired to something rather than from something. Let's find out together exactly what's waiting for us when we say goodbye to that 9 to 5. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Beyond Retirement. This is your host Jacquie Doucette, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that was brought up by Dr. Denise Taylor last week during our conversation. If you haven't listened to that episode, I recommend that you go and listen to it because she really had a lot of interesting things to talk about. What I want to talk about today is the idea of living intentionally, choosing curiosity, rhythm, and meaning. When we talk about living intentionally in retirement, most people assume it means doing something meaningful, volunteering, starting a project, launching a second career, staying productive. But what if intention isn't about doing more at all? In my conversation with Dr. Taylor, something very different kept surfacing. Again and again, she pointed to a quieter question, not what should I do now, but how do I want to live now? That distinction matters more than we realize. Because many people don't actually leave the working world when they retire. They leave the job, but they bring the pace, the pressure, the identity of work with them. The striving doesn't stop. It just changes shape. Living intentionally, as Denise describes it, begins when we step off that treadmill. Intention starts with rhythm, not goals. One of the most important ideas that Denise shared was the idea of rhythm, not routines, not schedules, but rhythm. Work life trains us to live by deadlines, calendars, urgency, output. Retirement removes that structure, but it doesn't automatically teach us what to replace it with. So many people rush to fill the gap because stillness feels uncomfortable. But rhythm is different from busyness. Rhythm is how your energy moves through the day. Rhythm is knowing when you feel alert, when you need rest, when you're most creative, and when you're simply done. Living intentionally means paying attention to that and allowing it to guide your choices instead of fighting it. Denise spoke about spending time in her woods and how stepping into that space immediately shifts her nervous system. She's no longer on call. She's not producing. She's being. That's not withdrawal from life. That's recalibration. And it's something that many retirees never give themselves permission to do. Curiosity replaces striving. Another pillar of intentional living is curiosity. And this is where people often misunderstand it. Curiosity isn't about chasing novelty or staying busy. It's about remaining open. Curious people ask, what actually interests me now? What energizes me? Not what impresses others. What feels worth exploring, even if I'm not good at it? Denise shared research showing curiosity is strongly linked to well-being as we age. And intuitively, that makes sense. Curious people stay engaged with life as it is, not as it used to be. Contrast that a little bit with what happens when curiosity fades. Then we hear phrases like, back in my day, or that's not for people my age, or even, I guess I missed my chance. Those aren't just statements, they're closures, doors quietly shutting. Living intentionally means choosing not to close those doors prematurely. It doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means allowing yourself to wonder again. What would happen if I tried this? What would happen if I slowed down?
What would happen if I didn't optimize every decision? Curiosity keeps the future open, even when the timeline is shorter. Meaning doesn't require productivity. This may be the hardest shift of all. Many people equate meaning with usefulness, and usefulness with output. So when work ends, meaning feels kind of fragile. Denise says she works with people who held senior roles, leaders, professionals, people whose identity was tightly bound to responsibility. When that role disappears, the question becomes deeply unsettling. If I'm not that anymore, who am I? Intentional living doesn't rush to answer that with another label. Instead, it asks, who are you without performance? Who are you when nothing is required? Who are you in your relationships, not on your resume? Meaning often shows up quietly in how you listen, in how present you are, in how you care for yourself and for others, and in what you choose not to rush anymore. This kind of meaning isn't visible on LinkedIn. It doesn't come with metrics, and that's precisely why it's powerful. Letting go of the on-call life. One of the most honest parts of my conversation with Denise was her observation that many people proudly say they'll work into their 80s or 90s, as if stopping would somehow mean failure. For some people, continuing to work is energizing and joyful. There's nothing wrong with that. But for others, it's avoidance. Avoidance of stillness, avoidance of grief, avoidance of asking deeper questions about how they want to live the years they have left. Living intentionally means recognizing that not every season calls for acceleration. Some seasons call for integration. Some call for simplification. Some call for rest that isn't earned, but is necessary. And if we don't practice that before something forces us to stop, illness, loss, or burnout, the adjustment becomes harder. So, here's a little invitation. If you're listening to this and wondering how to live more intentionally, I want to give you just a starting point. Not a checklist, not a goal, just a question. Where in your life could you soften the pace, even slightly? Maybe it's not booking every single day. Maybe it's sitting longer with your coffee in the morning. Maybe it's saying no to something without replacing it with something else. Maybe it's letting curiosity guide one small choice this week. Intentional living isn't about reinventing yourself overnight. It's about aligning your days with what actually matters now, not what mattered before, and not what others expect. As Denise said in our conversation, you don't have to keep striving to age well. Sometimes the most intentional choice is to walk gently and trust that meaning will meet you there. So, in closing, I just want to say, living intentionally takes some courage. We've all been kind of programmed to be doing instead of being, and to step back and just see what life has to offer and take it one step at a time isn't something that happens naturally. It's something that requires some focus and some attention. So just give it some thought this week. What would happen if you slowed down and didn't make every decision something that was required of you? If you just made choices that let you be for a while, what would happen? Thanks for being here today.
And that's it for this episode of Beyond Retirement. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Are you ready to start rocking your retirement? Head on over to www.beyondretirement.ca/rocking it. and sign up to plan out your own roadmap for retirement. Don't wait till it's too late.